Hey there, it's Nathan here with another honest review. Today we're going to be reviewing this monitor right here. It's the ViewSonic VP27, which retails for about £500 UK. So let's take a closer look. Now before I switch this monitor on, I just wanted to show how versatile it is in terms of moving around. So as you can see, it quite easily moves up and down. I have to say probably easier to move it up than down for some reason. You can easily move left and right, again turning on the base, which is remaining static. And if I raise this up high, as you can see, it will actually turn like so. So you can actually have the monitor in more of a portrait mode, if that's your liking as well. Well, you can't actually see what connections there are here because they're so well hidden just underneath where my finger's pointing. So instead, I'll just talk you through them. Underneath here, you have a combination of USB-C for inputting to a USB source such as a Mac or a Windows laptop that will accept that. You have as well a couple of USB 3 ports as well, which is really handy because when you connect this to a device such as a laptop using USB-C, you can also use the USB ports as well with it. Pretty cool, right? You also have underneath here, and I think this is a really good secret feature of the monitor, another USB-C port, which allows for other USB-C peripherals to be connected to the monitor, such as a USB-C webcam or other things like that. You've also got a HDMI output as well for connecting to more traditional HDMI sources, two DisplayPort ports for, again, connecting to DisplayPort sources, obviously the power here, and also a auxiliary connection there for connecting headphones or indeed speakers to the monitor. So here we are in the main menu where there are a few different things, and I'll just talk you through them quite quickly. We've got obviously the input selection, the audio adjustment. As I mentioned in a little bit in this video, it's really a good idea to actually switch this off. Now, view mode, which is where I think that this monitor is one of its biggest features is, and I'm not going to be able to talk you through every single one because it's just hard to explain them, if I'm honest, but I'll go through them as best I can. Movie mode, which a bit more muted and really bright. Web mode, which is high contrast and bright, I would describe it as. Text, which is very similar to web mode, if you ask me. Mac, which is meant to be set up for the Mac, but I don't know if you can actually see here at the very bottom where my icons are, it's actually made them a bit distorted, so not really a fan of that one. Continuing through the menu here, we have a couple of other things such as color adjustments, fairly standard brightness, contrasts, color formatting, a load of different standard colors. Again, I've only really had experience with Adobe RGB and sRGB. A number of these I really wouldn't even know what they are. So for instance, Rec 709, would love to know what that means. And color calibration as well, and some custom calibration. Again, this is really great if this is the type of thing you're looking for from a monitor, perhaps really good for color profiling. But for a regular user, it just doesn't mean that much. Some manual image adjust, and I'll actually scroll down to quite a nice feature here, which is a blue light filter, which you may be aware is something that Apple devices such as the iPhone automatically kick in after about 10 o'clock, I think is the default. So here it just increases the amount of blue light filter, which isn't really making a lot of difference at the moment. So make of that what you will. And finally, the setup menu, which I think actually shows more than just the setup, but some quite nice features. So obviously we've got things like language, resolution, information, which is surprisingly useful if you're ever in doubt about what resolution the monitor is broadcasting at. Here is where you go to find it. As you can see here, we're at the maximum 2560 by 1440 at 60 Hertz. And again, this actually probably highlights one thing that isn't so great about this is the menu goes off very quickly. A couple of timeout options here as well, an auto power off, sleep, ambient light sensor. Really cool in practice, but what I found is that it kept adjusting the light as I was doing work, which isn't great for me. The screen that just keeps changing brightness all the time is a little bit off-putting, which is why I would recommend keeping it to off. Presence sensor, which I'll talk about in a few moments in the video, is around the monitor auto-detecting if somebody's sat in front of it. switching off when you're away and supposedly automatically switching on when you come back, but as I'll tell you, it doesn't always work as well in practice. These are the core settings of the ViewSonic monitor. Really vast, as I mentioned before, goes above and beyond what most people would be expecting, but hey, it does the job and it works really fine. As you can see, my Mac here is broadcasting at the full resolution at 60 Hz. Things look crisp and clear, and why don't we now go and visit a website to see how well it works. So here we are, full screen on the apple.com website, and the text seems clear. Scrolling is also clear with no issues here, and the text looks great. I can see it perfectly if I zoom in here. Again, really crisp, and this is as far as I can zoom in. I can read all the terms and conditions, really clear, which is, I think, okay, it's a minor thing, but for me, it's about that crispness of the text, which not every monitor is able to achieve, especially when connected to an Apple device. So really big thumbs up for me here. I've been living with the monitor now for about 2 weeks, and I'll start by telling you some of the things that I like about this monitor. The amount that you can customize this monitor is far beyond my expectations, or what I believe probably anyone who buys this expectations. Through the menus, I can adjust a whole heap of different settings to get the monitor to look how I want, whether I'm editing perhaps a landscape piece of photography, or I'm just browsing on the web with my Mac, for example, or I'm trying to do maybe even some AutoCAD. All of these are pre-programmed into the monitor and really actually help me in terms of getting the best color profile that I can from this monitor. The other thing that's really great about this is that I can adjust the height, tilt, swivel really easily without actually having to move the base. So really great if I'm trying to view the monitor from different angles in my room. Now, touching upon the image quality of the monitor, it's great. Don't get me wrong. It's crisp, everything looks great, but I honestly don't even believe that my eyes are trained well enough to tell the difference between a lot of the different modes on this monitor. And I think that's going to apply to a lot of other people that buy this. It's beyond anything that an average consumer is going to really understand or recognize. When I look through the various different settings, I would look at a picture and say, hey, that looks great for me. But then a number of others, it just begins to all look the same. So what don't I like so much about the monitor? The first thing is the design of it. Now, it's not the prettiest thing to look at in the room. It doesn't exactly make the room look that great with it in, if that makes any sense. It's got this really big black design all around it, which I'm not really a fan of. Perhaps just a little bit of silver around from ViewSonic would have helped this. It's also quite bulky. You may or may not be able to see that this actually sticks out quite a bit from the back, so it begins to eat up a lot of desk space, which is why I would probably recommend getting something like a monitor arm if you're going to use this particular monitor. The other thing that I don't like, and this is I think a very minor point, there's a setting within the menus called Content Aware, which is supposed to be, depending on whether the monitor recognizes me in front of the monitor or not, it will automatically switch off and then switch back on when I'm in front of it. Sounds really cool, but in practice I can tell you it very, very rarely works. I would find that I would go away and the monitor would switch off, but coming back I'd have to do all sorts of waving actions in front. Now, cool feature, but just doesn't work in practical use, I'm afraid. A few little fun things about this monitor that you may not have picked up on in other parts of the video. The first one is, I think this is probably the only monitor I've ever seen that comes with its own unique calibration report in the box. Yeah, that's right. Every model of this monitor that comes off the factory line has its own report printed out on a piece of paper that says the color settings that have been pre-calibrated. Far beyond me, but perhaps a cool little thing that someone might find useful. The next thing is what cables are included in the box. Now, this isn't an unboxing video, but I noticed a really key thing. You go to the ViewSonic website and it claims that a USB-C cable is not included with this monitor. However, when I unboxed it, there is a USB-C cable that is provided with this monitor that provides full 60 watts power and also able to display the full resolution at 60 Hz. So it's a perfectly good USB-C cable. Just a bit of a shame that ViewSonic didn't actually mention this in their manual or even on the website. So, would I recommend buying this monitor? I'm afraid I wouldn't. At its price point, £500 for a non-4K monitor is extortionate. I'm still yet to really understand why it can command such a high price. I get that it's tailored for photographers and design individuals, but this is a huge price. If I take, for instance, another monitor I recently reviewed by LG, and I'll put the link in the description down below, that retails for £400 and is 4K, and in my opinion works a lot better than this. So why the 500? I do not know. The other thing about this monitor again is that lacking of 4K resolution. It would have been really, really nice. Don't get me wrong, at its current QHD resolution, it does everything that I want from my devices, but it would have just been nice to have gone that little bit higher. And the design, of course, I've already said it in this video, is just not that pretty to look at, and it really sticks out on the desk. So I'm sorry to say, but this gets a no-buy rating from me. Again, really love to hear from anyone that has bought this and can help me understand perhaps why this is worth so much money, and maybe even I've missed something out in this video. Thanks so much for watching another honest review. If you've liked this video, hit the like button down below. If you've got a comment, why not also leave that down below? Or if you want to see more content, hit the subscribe button. Thanks very much. See you next time. Bye-bye.